We all have those days where everything just feels like it's working against us. And sometimes our emotional reaction can feel way out of proportion to what's happening. But here's the thing. While we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how vulnerable we are to those emotional triggers. When our emotional resilience is low, even minor stressors can feel overwhelming. Factors like stress, poor sleep, lack of social support, even skipping meals can make us more emotionally sensitive. But we can change how easily our emotions are triggered by adjusting our behaviors and habits. Think of emotional resilience like a muscle. The more you work on it, the stronger it gets. So here are some ways to build resilience. Mindfulness practice. Research shows that regular mindfulness practice can increase your ability to regulate emotions. This doesn't mean you have to meditate for hours. Just a few minutes a day of focusing on your breath or paying attention to the present moment can make a big difference. Physical health and well-being. What you do for your body affects your mind. Regular exercise, quality sleep, and eating nourishing foods all contribute to your emotional stability. Science backs this up. Exercise, for example, boosts endorphins and reduces stress hormones like cortisol. Another thing is enhancing your social connections. Building supportive relationships is crucial. Even brief positive interactions with others can make us more emotionally resilient. Whether it's a deep conversation with a friend or a casual chat with a coworker, these connections help us regulate our emotions. Develop coping strategies. So it's not just about reacting better to stress, it's about being proactive. Create strategies for dealing with stressful situations. So for example, if you know a tough conversation is coming up, prepare for it by planning how you'll respond calmly and rationally. You can also shift your perspective. Change the way you think about situations. That can dramatically reduce emotional vulnerability. When you feel yourself reacting emotionally, try to reframe the situation. Instead of thinking, "This is terrible," consider, "This is difficult, but I can handle it. It will be over." Healthy boundaries and self-care. So people-pleasing, overcommitting, and neglecting your own needs all contribute to emotional vulnerability. Setting healthy boundaries and making time for self-care activities you genuinely enjoy can reduce emotional overload. It's all about finding that balance. So here's something interesting, a technique called affect labeling. It's incredibly simple, but surprisingly effective. It involves just putting words to your emotions when you're feeling overwhelmed. Studies using brain scans have shown that when people label their emotions by saying, "I feel angry," or "I feel anxious," their brain's emotional centers become less active and the parts associated with rational thinking become more engaged. Makes sense, right? By simply identifying and naming your emotions, you're giving yourself a moment of mindfulness and psychological distance. It's kind of like having a mental pause button. This idea about managing emotions isn't new. The Stoics of ancient Greece and Rome practiced something called premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. They would imagine worst-case scenarios happening to themselves, not to make themselves miserable, but to prepare their minds to face adversity calmly. It's not about expecting bad things to happen, but training yourself to be resilient when they do. This mental rehearsal reduced their emotional vulnerability by teaching them acceptance and composure. Modern research confirmed what the Stoics practice. Individuals who consistently build emotional resilience through mindfulness, through social connections, proper self-care, and cognitive techniques like affect labeling are better equipped to handle stress and experience fewer emotional outbursts. They literally strengthen their brain's ability to regulate emotions. Building emotional resilience is not about eliminating stress from your life. It's about making yourself stronger and less reactive to stress. The more you practice these skills, the more natural it becomes. You can stay calm and grounded even in the face of life's challenges. So try incorporating one of these habits or techniques into your life, whether it's affect labeling, reframing situations, or just making more time for self-care. The key is consistency, because resilience isn't built in a day. It's built every day. Let me know in the comments. See what you can do.